All right, we got a podcast question coming from the one and only Max. He's got just a sick hat on. We're going to have these for sale at summer camp.
What up, AJ? It's your boy Max the Gray Rabbit. Hey, podcast question for you here. Rode the big track and not C track for the first time this week.
Shout out.
I've been super jacked up on it. Corners, ruts, zero problems, rollers, perfectly fine. It's now just starting to tackle these jumps. I feel comfortable with jumps. There's just so many jumps on this track. The question is where to start, how to start tackling them. You know, you got your rhythms, your doubles, your tables. What do we start doing? Do I start working with others, start following? So thank you. And shout out Arvent as my motivation. Fastest progressor here. Max out.
Shout out Max. Shout out Arvens, who is a good role model of somebody that's like really dedicated to the craft and trying to level up. Great question. Great timing of that question too, coming from what I was just talking about. So first time riding kind of the big boy track. I don't care if you're 6 years old or if you're 30 years old or if you're 60 years old. The intimidating part and the focus is immediately, like I just said, going to shift to the jumps. And where do I start? That is the common question. So where you want to start, Max, is on the most forgiving obstacle on the track. And the way to be able to qualify, is this a forgiving obstacle or not? Run yourself through a couple of hypothetical scenarios. If I go long on this, what could potentially happen? What does the landing look like? What does after the landing look like? Is there an alligator-infested pond that I might fly into? Is there a cement barrier that I might run into? Is there a tree I might decapitate myself on? Is there, another jump right away to where that could become an issue? Figure out what's after that landing if you go long and what that scenario could play out like, and have an idea of, if I do go long, this is going to be the strategy, right? Okay, now take it the other direction. If I come up short, what kind of obstacle, what does this landing look like? Is it super sharp? Am I going to just break a wrist as soon as I land? Am I going to get kicked into an endo for sure if I frame case it? So therefore, pick something that coming up short is not an issue, to where you can build 5 feet, 10 feet, halfway, 3/4, full distance, build your way to it without really something that has a big gap. Or even tabletops sometimes aren't safe because the landing will be so steep that it'll create like this really big bounce zone, which you want to pick jumps that don't have a big bounce zone. So that's one factor. Takeoff as well. Find a jump that has nice, smooth, like nicely built transition of a takeoff. There's a lot of jumps that are built a little janky. Maybe they're too short and steep, so it creates a kick. Some jumps have ruts in the face. Some, depending on where they're located on the track and what skill level of riders ride the track and what the dirt is like, will start to kind of like cup out and get square edges in the takeoffs because people blipping the throttle where they shouldn't and the dirt falling off. So pick a smooth jump face. What are some other factors here? I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but being able to read the scenario, jump face, jump landing, coming up short, going long, making sure that you got all of your bases covered, you have all of your scenarios covered. It's the same way like when you learn how to fly a plane, they teach you that when you go to take off, what's your plan? If something fails immediately upon takeoff, like what's your plan? You better have a plan, right? And it's the same thing for hitting a jump on a dirt bike. If you don't have a plan, then when something goes wrong, you're going to panic. So that's where I would start. And Max, you're inside of the app. If you guys aren't inside of the app and you have these questions, send them to me. Send a GoPro video of the track. Send a video or a couple pictures of the track, and I will select the jumps for you so that you can progress safely. That's the biggest thing, is I see people just pick the wrong jumps to learn on. Point blank. That's it. They pick the wrong jumps to learn on. So hopefully that makes sense. Max will make sure you don't make those same mistakes. If you guys enjoyed this podcast clip and you want to listen to full episodes, you can do so on Spotify and Apple Music. If you want to send in your own video submission, you can join us in the Moto Academy family inside of the Moto Academy app by just going to themotoacademy.com. That's also where you can sign up for a class. Okay, guys, see you next episode.